What popular saying is actually bullshit?
It doesn't matter who started it. Of course it effing does. Even legally, the concept of who did what first is recognized as vital.
I've always hated that phrase in school. And #X200B, what the hell did they expect the second to do, get hit by the bully?
If you tell me the truth you won't get into trouble.
I tell my 7-year-old son, if you tell me the truth the punishment isn't as bad. When he follows through he still gets punished, but I explain what would have happened if he lied. Tell the truth? 10 minutes time out in the corner. Lie. Grounded for the entire night. Works pretty well.
Top 10 anime betrayals.
One of bosses said this to me when I was hired. Don't ever lie to me. Tell me the truth, and I'll cover it up.
What goes around, comes around. I've seen so many good, honest people get screwed over by toxic, immoral people who never get their comeuppance. The concept of karma is bullshit. Edit. Maybe karma was a bad word to use, as it has many definitions. The version I use here is the one commonly used within the secular communities of the Western world, i.e. within one lifetime.
Rich people get away with horrible poop. Some corrupt politicians retire and never get caught. Murderers have lived normal, sometimes fruitful lives until they died without ever facing prosecution. I've seen some of the best people get screwed over and screwed up by the poop thrown at them. No, the world is not some magical place where the scale balances itself out.
I have sincerely wished for the ability to F people over because I've never gotten a goddamn thing for being honest and always trying to do the right thing. I just had a great opportunity to blackmail the F out of these twats I worked for, but I didn't, and they immediately tried to get me to train someone to do my job for less money.
Absolutely bullshit. My GF got molested by some dude Monday to Friday for like 5 years and the dude got away scotch-free. Still lives in the same town as her, and her family and friends said they didn't want to pick sides. Like WTF? You don't want to pick sides between a pedophile and a molested child? Straight up bull.
Looks don't matter. They do. Not always, not completely, but they very much do matter. Humans are kind of superficial in that regard.
If you are going to be a criminal, be an attractive one. You will be punished far less. It's pretty messed up when you see all the research about the bias. It is everywhere, so that is more than bullshit, it is an outright delusional lie.
I used to be 400 pounds when I was in my 20s. A few years ago I hit around 180 and the amount of doors that opened were insane. Everyone was suddenly nicer to me, I was able to find jobs with ease, just everything was easier. Looks definitely matter.
I read the book, Survival of the Prettiest, 20 years or so ago, changed my worldview. One thing of note, she posits that being good-looking usually helps, but at some point, being really good-looking starts to worsen your outcomes.
People would tell me that potential employers decide if a person is the right fit for the job within the first 5 seconds of the interview. For years I thought it was BS until I was on the other side of the table. A candidate who walks into the room wearing a suit and carries themselves in a confident demeanor is going to make me much more comfortable than someone with a perpetual slouch wearing a polo and jeans, even if the latter is 10x more qualified. I wish we as humans had more control over that, but it's just instinctual. Edit. For the people calling me shallow and classist, I think I need to be more clear. Someone who doesn't look or act as nice may be more qualified, but if anything in their responses gives any kind of indication that they're going to have a negative impact on the work environment, that's a deal breaker. Someone could be as smart as a whip but could be lazy or struggle to listen to authority. On the flip side though, someone could be a perfect fit but doesn't sell themselves well. We don't know this person, so we have to make assumptions based on their responses to our questions and what skills they claim to possess. Skills are important, yes, but presentation is what gets your foot in the door. The same goes for the better dressed person. They could say something completely off the wall that can turn the tide.
Don't judge a book by its cover, but your appearance is the first thing you say to people. Edit. Change some words to make my point clearer.
It's just how I am. Well, you're a effing C word. Change your behavior and act like a decent human.
Hey, I'm blunt, I tell it how it is. You tell it like you're in jerk. Edit. To folks who think the only other option is lying, it's not. You can tactfully tell people the truth, if that truth is indeed needed.
Came here to say this. Well, that's just how he is. Yeah, and that's the only metric I have to judge them by.
I think Louis C.K. had a joke where he basically said you don't get to decide if you're being a jerk or not. That's up to everyone else around you.
Never judge a book by its cover. As someone who works in a bookshop, you're damn right I'm gonna judge the quality of a book by its production. As do most customers. I have gotten insights into the world of publishing and the decisions they make based on the quality and success of the product they are pushing. For instance, an author just starting out? The catchy title of the book is going to be the biggest text on the book. The author has brought out 3 to 4 books that are proving successful? The text size of their name is going to be equal to the title. Ian Rankin or Kate Atkinson? Their name is going to be the biggest text on that cover because that's what draws customers in. I remember chatting to James Oswald who said, "First knew First had made it when my name got bigger." Our Scottish buyer is very good at sniffing out underdog books. Books that are incredibly well written, but haven't got the recognition they deserve, and she will discuss with the publisher about changing the cover of the book to reflect this. Suddenly huge boosts in sales. When a customer is looking for an obscure title, and I look it up, I can almost immediately tell if it's a low-quality independent publication by the way the cover looks. Disclaimer, much like with the underdogs, there are always exceptions to rules. And it is definitely not always the case that a low-quality looking book is necessarily a bad read. It's just often an indication of a first-time or unpublished author, who hasn't had a chance to hone their craft yet.
Can confirm. Also, when a book with a good cover sells well, you'll start to see other books with similar covers. For example, historical fiction set during, or related to, World War II with female main characters is having a moment. The books often look like colorized old photographs. They're usually a bit dramatic, often with women walking away from the frame. Here is a quick search. These books aren't all the same author or the same publisher. Same thing happens with titles to a degree.
This was very insightful. Thanks for sharing the BTS of book cover design.
I thought this was a metaphorical saying, to do with people and other things that maybe seem poop on the surface, but actually aren't. Obviously books being the origin, but not the main usage now.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
It might keep the doctor away, but the psych ward never has enough apples to keep 5 big orderlies and a nurse with a needle away.
I've tried to ward my house to the best of my abilities, apples near each door and window, apple-scented candles, maintaining a constant supply of apples and apple products in my kitchen. Nothing works. The doctors, they are relentless. They're clever, systematically searching for a breach in my defenses. When I close my eyes, I can feel their icy stethoscopes. I just ate my first apple today, but it is all in vain. The ache in my knees from their mallets warns me they are drawing near. I took an apple from my kitchen to carry with me around the house. I sat down on my couch, only to hear the crinkle of wax paper beneath me. I caught a glimpse of a white coat outside my window. I wanted to believe it wasn't real, but my worst fears were realized when I heard the murmur of, "What seems to be the problem here, today?" They're here.
No wonder there's a shortage of doctors.
Good things come to those who wait. Try waiting your whole life and see what comes to you.
As an impatient person, I've always taken this as, put in the work and then don't F it up rushing. I feel like I learn this lesson daily.
He who hesitates is lost. Reminds me of Hamilton. Wait for it.
Please stop waiting and make good things happen for yourself. I waited for more than 2 years because I was promised that good things will happen to me one day and it'll all get better. When you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up, right? Right, but you'll also soon find that the oceans is so much deeper than you've ever imagined, and unless you start to swim up, you'll keep on sinking.
This destroyed me. Spent a year applying for a graduate level job, then realized how much time and mental pain I put myself through with just rejection after rejection. I did everything by the playbook of keeping everything up to date. Emailing companies, calling them, doing all of this stuff that my career's advisors and friends kept telling me to do. In the end, I sat down and thought, if I got this job I'm chasing in this field, would I sit in that office chair 6 months into my job and think it was worth all of this pain? Nah, then stopped. This saying is true, but sometimes the wait is not worth it and you have to look elsewhere.
Practice makes perfect. I had a teacher that used to point out that no, practice makes permanent. If you practice something in an incorrect way, you're going to perform incorrectly.
My football coach used to say, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Lies.
This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. Breaks own leg.
My grandmother said that to my dad once when he was a kid before a spanking. When she pulled her arm back for the first swing, she accidentally whacked the radiator and broke her hand. It really did hurt her more than it did him.
Opposites attract. They don't. Birds of a feather flock together, on the other hand, is usually true for relationships.